Streets report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So, globally, the coronavirus has now officially infected at least 113,000 people, and the death toll has topped 4,000. Now, over in Italy, the whole country is under nationwide lockdown, basically. Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte actually came out and said, you can only move about for 3 reasons. For reasons of necessity, reasons for work, or for health reasons. Otherwise, you got to stay in the crib. Now, that's 60 million people that are now under these restrictions. And it's really serious over there, of course, but even in other countries, in China, for example, where the rate of infection is actually declining, you had Prime Minister Xi Jinping actually visited the epicenter of the virus, Wuhan, China, for the first time since this has happened. But it's rocking other nations around the world. So I'm going to get to the U.S. in a second. Green War and Graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report, man. Make sure you sign my petition, y'all. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube or in my Instagram account, GradyGrant716. Right now, exactly why you should be moving the platform. Hard in the darkness, it's a little, but you can still see me though. The light's still shining on me, and it's really all about what I'm saying. And the coronavirus has everybody shook, and people are acting accordingly. Over in Detroit, a very impoverished city that we all know went bankrupt a few years ago, and thousands of residents don't even have water due to the fact that they have like already stacked their bills. Well, the city has decided to allow for them to have water due to scarce resources coming in these troubling, scary times. Also, universities, Ohio State University, University of Southern California, USC, the Trojans and all of that. University of Washington, Stanford, Brown, Barnard, and my alma mater, Columbia University, or one of my alma maters, they actually have switched to online classes, so students aren't coming out to classes in the fear of the coronavirus. You also have Florida Republican Congressmember Matt Gaetz, who was actually announced via Twitter that he was going to self-quarantine after he came in contact with somebody from the CPAC conference, the Conservative Political Action Conference, that actually was found to have coronavirus. Now, when he found this out, though, he was actually on board the Air Force One with Donald Trump, go figure. But also a congressmember from Georgia, Doug Collins, said he's going to do the same after having been at the CPAC. So, and this is a place where, there's a lot of people there, of course. And, yesterday the stock market actually Wall Street suffered its worst stock market day in the past decade. Over the past several weeks, we're talking about $5 trillion have actually been lost. And this was also compounded by like the pricing, the crude oil pricing war going on between Saudi Arabia and Russia. Green War and Graduation. Streets reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Apologize for the darkness, but as long as you can hear what I'm saying, and you can still see me or whatever, but as long as you can hear what I'm saying, that's what's most important, man. Make sure you check out my mixtape too, @still_I_grind on Instagram. It's not on that pip, not on my mixtapes.com, but it's the first of its kind, performed all on Instagram. It's the prelude to my album, Still I Grind, that's on the way. All that shit in the mix, man. Be a part of history and check that out. I'm gonna add some new shit to it this week too, man. Stay tuned. Make sure you follow that. Now, going into this politics shit, I don't necessarily like to talk about it, but I'm gonna talk about it because today you have the caucuses at Michigan, Missouri, Mississippi, Idaho, North Dakota, and Washington. So right now the Democratic presidential debate, presidential race seems to be left towards Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Tulsi Gabbard is still on the ticket, but she doesn't qualify for this upcoming debate due to the DNC, the Democratic National Committee's rule changes, meaning she doesn't, which basically will require her to have a certain amount of delegates that she does not have. Now, Biden and Sanders today are battling for like 352 delegates, with a bulk of that coming from Michigan, 125 delegates. This is a state that Sanders actually won over Hillary Clinton when he ran for president in 2016. Now, you have Bloomberg. He's backed out of the race, but he's now supporting Biden and joining Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, Cory Booker, and Kamala Harris, as I told y'all before, whatever. A lot of people supporting Biden. Elizabeth Warren, who backed out last week, has not chosen anybody to endorse. But we'll see how this all turns out. Green War and Graduation. Report of the New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So Dallas County in Texas is actually requesting a recount after last week on Super Tuesday vote showed that there was a discrepancy between the number of votes that were actually cast, the number of ballots that were cast, and the number of voters that actually signed in. Green War and graduation. Streets Report of the New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So y'all know this month is actually Women's History Month, and this past Sunday was actually International Women's Day. Well, yesterday, as in response to that, a bunch of people across Latin America, a bunch of women were actually, marching and protesting, and women supporters, of course, because it wasn't just all women, but mostly women, though. But nevertheless, though, in Mexico, for example, you had tens of thousands of women that actually withdrew from public life in this nationwide strike known as A Day Without Us, responding to the femicide that's been going on over there, the fact that 10 women are killed per day in fucking Mexico. So that's insane. Obviously a cause for alarm, and I've been reporting on this before, but I didn't necessarily know the count was 10 women per day. That's insane. So of course they are out there doing that, and you can imagine how crazy the world went with all of the women withdrawing from public life, not going to work and all of that, whatever. But you also have protests going across Chile, people doing work stoppages over there, and in Argentina, where demonstrators were definitely voicing their support for women's rights and the new abortion laws that are pro-abortion laws that are actually being pushed for. Green War and graduation. For the New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report, man. Make sure you check out my Instagram mixtape, man, @still_agron, the first of its kind. And this paraphernalia for it too, or whatever, that you can check out at www.blackfoxnews.com/shop. You can find the link in the Black Fox News bio. That's news with a Z at the end, man. Recognize. Now check this out. The U.S. has actually began to abide by its, respect its U.S. Taliban agreement and begin withdrawing U.S. troops from Afghanistan. And this is even amidst the political turmoil that is persistent over there, where you have Ashraf Ghani, that was already the Afghan president or whatever, and then the president that is claiming that he won the most recent national elections, Abdullah, both having inaugural ceremonies, whatever, basically both claiming to be president. So the U.S. is actually calling for the United Nations Security Council to actually endorse their deal with, back their deal with the Taliban, but a lot of political turmoil over there, and they're supposed to have talks, intra-Afghan talks today, but we'll see what happens. Green War graduation. Streets Report of the New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So ceremonies are actually being held all around the world, as today marks 1 year since the crashing of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 that actually was a Boeing 737 MAX airplane that had crashed and killed all 157 people on board. Now there was a House report, released by the House of Representatives here in the U.S., released on Friday, that showed that engineering errors, inadequate federal safety oversight, and a culture of concealment, in quotes, were actually responsible for that crash, as well as the crash that took place in October 2018, Indonesian Lion Air flight that actually killed all 189 people on board. So, Boeing was out there looking like, we already know at this point, if y'all been following me, I've been keeping y'all in touch with all of the nuances and the new revelations of that story or whatever. It's like, yeah, they were at fault, and it's exactly what the House report concluded. Also, you have over in Malaysia, the 3 Russians and 1 Ukrainian are actually on trial. They began the trial for them downing the Malaysian Airlines flight back in 2014 in Ukraine. So we'll see how that turns out. Remember that Malaysian airplane flight that disappeared? This is what that's about. So here we go. Green War and graduation.